I have thought about what I want to happen afterwards.
Okay.
I want to be involved in some elaborate prank. I want someone to go like, be like an impersonator. I want like a body double.
Oh my
and
God.
then that person will like, after everyone said all their like nice things and whatever, this person will pop up and go like, gotcha. And
That's
then
not funny.
I think
I'm
it
actually
is.
in love with it.
Thank you.
What? You're sick. You're both sick.
Welcome to Playing House, the podcast about keeping your relationship sexy and secure. I'm the very giggly Kolter Bouchard.
And I'm the dripped out Dominique Bouchard. And we are a real couple having real conversations, inviting you in as our third.
You are dripping.
No.
Make me want to drip out of you.
Ew.
Someone on the was it YouTube? A comment on YouTube was like, he makes everything sexual.
Yeah, it was YouTube. The comment was, it feels like every time Dominique has something important to say, he makes it sexual.
Everything you say is important, so I would never be able to do that then.
Not you trying to outrank that person. Okay, all right.
Cancel Kolter.
No, they weren't canceling you. They were like, basically convince me to subscribe, and I'm not doing that. We were making
Baby,
a community here.
This is all you need right here. Subscribe
Thank you.
to the YouTube channel so you can see these delicious body parts
Okay.
and the brain behind them.
Point being made.
On today's episode, navigating one of the most vulnerable conversations you can have with your partner, discussing death and grieving with Dr. Nadine, PhD. Just make no last name. We're just calling her
Persaud.
Dr. Nadine. I know that, but
I mean, as you watch the episode, yeah, we call her Nadine. We went to elementary school together, so we're a close relationship. Whatever. I'm friends with the doctor. It's chill. Relax.
and obviously I would just be in mourning for the rest of eternity and making no plans to ever move on, because there is no moving on from the woman with whom I've been blessed, Dominique Olivia Bouchard, my only wife, from now into eternity. I could date though, right? You died? That's not getting married.
You want to?
Not now.
You want to date when I'm dead,
Yeah.
when I am in the ground, when my body has been cremated. Probably won't be in the ground. Turned into a diamond, probably on your
My
finger.
new
if not.
wife's finger.
Oh my gosh, that'd be really messed up.
That'd be kind of funny. though. Then you'd always be there with us, and we could finally have a threesome. Yeah.
Right. You are a sick and deranged man, and we have quite the episode ahead of us
We
because
do.
of that.
You're dressed in like funeral garb, minus the merch. Playinghousepod.com/shop.
Bury me in my Playing House merch, but please don't actually. I don't want to.
Hey, when you get cremated,
Yeah.
they burn your clothes with you, or are you
I
naked?
have no idea, and I actually don't care to know the answer to
Because
that.
then would the merch be part of the diamond too? But first, how you doing?
I was in great spirits. I was happy and excited about the episode. Then you asked me that really disturbing question, truly. By the time this is coming out, it's almost going to be Halloween. So I'm pretty excited for that. I'm a great mom because I'm sure at this point I would have gotten me a Halloween costume. But she just loves the Halloween season. And I feel like I am truly a great mom
Halloween.
because of that.
Yeah.
Halloween?
That's what she calls it, Halloween.
Does she?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never
Like,
noticed
hello, trick or treat. Probably.
What?
Do you know what she wants to be this year?
I'm assuming Elsa Into the Unknown dress. So she's finally on to Frozen 2, which is about Elsa going into the unknown. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Anyway, so she wants Elsa's new dress, and she's been asking for that for Christmas since March.
Behavior's been a little rough recently with the transition
You know.
to kindergarten. So listen, we're going to tighten it up a little bit, and we're going to see if we can make the new costume work.
So you're gonna withhold a Halloween costume?
I was a pirate for 5 years in a row when I was a kid. Every year I was the same costume. Not because my mom would offer every year, let's go Halloween costume shopping.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, yeah.
I'm happy
I got
that
nerd stuff, yeah.
You've always been you, haven't you? You've just always been, this is my way. I'm stuck in it. Don't try to move me.
Not even that, just like laziness, I'd say.
Yeah.
Takes
I
9
think we're
seconds to
saying
go
the
to the
same
store. right?
Agreed.
But every year, the pirate costume would get like progressively shorter.
Yes, because
it stayed the same size,
taller.
but I got taller.
Correct.
Yeah. So it was just like it's like booty shorts by the end of it. Like full pants when I first started wearing it in like grade 3. By grade 8, it was booty shorts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting choice.
Catholic school, I was a big kid.
Do you know what you want to be this year?
I don't like dressing up. I don't like. We talked about role playing on a recent episode.
Yeah.
It's just like role playing. I'm kind of
Okay.
I can't really get into it. It's like committing to the bit.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I got to pretend I'm this thing all day.
Again,
like dressing
Kolter
up and going to the office, couldn't do it.
Again, Kolter Bouchard, you have your ways. You shall not be moved. You are in them. You don't want to sway at all.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm already swaying, but.
What does that mean?
Penis.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love like couples outfits and like matching family outfits and stuff, but we've never done that because you don't like dressing up.
The costume for every like multiracial family.
Oh God.
The costume, salt and pepper and paprika from Blue's
Yeah,
Clues.
no, thank you.
Which doesn't even make sense because paprika's like a different, like they're all different.
They're all different,
right?
Yeah.
And paprika's like it's not even like a midway between salt and pepper. The colors, it's a whole different. It's like brown, like a brown red.
I thought you were gonna be like chocolate with milk and then like milk chocolate.
No. What would be like a
No.
like what would you do? I guess you could be like, here's what you could do.
Oh gosh.
You got to find out like you get like that little hex codes printed on it. You're like colors. You're like a color swatch.
We can just be colors for Halloween.
So you could be like red and I could be yellow and she could be orange. Kind of cute, right?
No,
or
I
like,
don't like that at all.
Or like blue and green, or no, blue and red, and we'd make purple. It could be fun.
These are all very boring. I've always wanted to do like one year I made you milk.
That was a great costume.
Thank you. And I think that same year I made her a bowl of Fruit Loops.
Yes.
And then I was gonna make myself a spoon.
But like always,
I ran out of
you put
ideas
us
for
before
myself. As always.
Because you're such a great mom.
Time for, you know, a lot of people are saying that, and
there's a reason Mom and Martyr both start with M. I think. I don't know. I don't know what the relation is, but I'm just So.
But I think it was her second Halloween, and the moment I brought it to her, she started screaming.
Yeah.
And absolutely did not want it on. So
yeah.
You got your costume at least.
Looked awesome.
Yeah.
I was deep in the throes of chemotherapy, so bald. I kind of looked like Milk. If Milk was like if Milk turned into a human,
well,
it would
a dude
be me.
At work kept saying you look like Harvey Milk. No.
Wait, what,
No,
the
I'm
character
thinking of the wrong
Sean
person.
Penn played
I'm
in
thinking of the wrong person.
the movie Milk?
The movie? No, not the movie Milk. The one where the dude Powder.
Powder, yes.
Powder. Milk.
I look like powdered milk. I look like powdered milk. Yeah, fun stuff. Great costume. I don't think I've ever had a better costume than that.
Then the Milk.
Correct.
Oh, thank you.
Maybe pirate, but
Okay.
that was because it was so many years and I was so many costumes, right?
The fact that I can compete is really is exciting
Yeah.
to me. But can I just say that I was really pissed off when I heard that he was calling you Powder, and you thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
That was Fred, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out
to
Fearless Fred. Fred's the best.
No, Fred's the best.
Fred's the
I like
greatest.
him.
Love Fred.
I was ready to fight him though.
Okay. He would kick your ass. He
Probably.
wouldn't because he's like
He
a gentleman.
He wouldn't. But
Right.
He's capable of.
And also the optics.
Absolutely.
But
yeah, but I think I'd take advantage of that and kick his.
right.
Yeah.
He'd let you.
Not to. Yes, I believe he would. Because again, gentleman.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you doing? Have you said how you're doing yet?
I feel a little like, I need some Tylenol, so I took some Tylenol. But she's like back to kindergarten, and I'm like, we had COVID like a month ago. You, I think, still have long COVID or something. Hence the cough button. And I'm like, is it like a rebound? Is it like, am I just like I think I'm run down.
I think you're run down and your body's telling you to slow down. We have been spending, we're going to break the fourth wall a little bit.
No. You love doing that.
Is there an issue with that, with letting people in?
To be our third?
Huh? Welcome to the show. I'm Kolter Bouchard.
We're letting people in to be our third, not break the fourth wall.
So anyways, breaking the fourth wall. We've been recording episodes every day this week. So it's been a big production week for us. because we want to bring you that quality. We want to bring you that consistency that you deserve, that we want for you, that we want for ourselves. So I think like now it's the last day of the week. We're on the final episode, being this one, until we record the rest of season 3, obviously. But yeah, you've been doing a lot, especially because you and Peter are working on like the set and the tech stuff.
Yeah.
So
and you're just showing up and you're looking great.
I'm just showing up.
And you're looking great.
So you want to read the screen again?
I actually don't even know how to read. I have to have someone read the notes to me and I have to commit them to memory.
That actually checks out completely.
And then when you see me like looking to the side because that's where the screen is, I'm just doing it for effect. Want to hook up?
On this episode, like Kolter mentioned, we're going to be having Dr. Nadine PhD on the episode, and she is a hospice and palliative care provider, doctor. And this episode was inspired by a friend of mine who is actually going through cancer treatment right now.
Ooh, who is it?
Oh my God. You got so excited. I'm not going to come on the internet and expose people's health matters. If she wants to share her story, that's her choice, but I'm not going to do that.
Do I know?
No, you don't know her.
Wow.
I have friends you don't know, correct?
Is this friend real?
No, you caught me in the lie. Wow. It
That's
was all just
super weird to lie about a friend with cancer. I was lying about mine too. Got a free Nintendo Switch out of it from Fred, by the way.
Shout out to Fred.
Shout out to
once
Fred.
again.
Yeah. Gave your husband a Switch and would let you kick his ass.
There you go.
Yeah.
With the Switch. So we were DMing, and she said she was learning about the fact that you had cancer, and she's like, I've been listening to your podcast. I heard that your husband had cancer. Like, have you shared about that on the podcast yet? And that was never a plan of mine. Like, this show is supposed to be about like keeping it sexy and secure and like fun, and that feels really
Let me tell you something though.
sad.
I've never been laid in my life more than when I had cancer. This woman like could not throw, like you were revved up when you were pregnant.
Okay.
This was like, I was like, oh my God, this is the best. And I looked awful. So maybe it really was for my personality.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been saying it.
Was it because you were like, this might be the last time?
No.
It was good. I never had to like ask for anything.
You're welcome.
There was still that one thing you wouldn't do, but
I'm sorry, it's been downhill since then.
I don't think an apology is necessary.
Okay.
I think like an improvement, but it is what it is.
So that is what inspired this episode. So shout out to her as well for getting us to finally have this conversation. And of course, with you going through cancer.
Your friend can like reach out to me if they want, assuming they exist.
Have the same cancer, and it's also, I think she's been going through it for a while. Okay. But hey, I don't know.
Sure.
Absolutely. Thank you for the extending the invite. So I guess we'll get into the episode. Obviously, as always, we're going to try to keep it as light as possible.
Not me. I'm going to take it very seriously. I'm going to make like anti-joke. I'm going to do the anti-joke thing.
What's that?
I'm going to take it even more serious. If Dr. Nadine cracks a smile, I'm going to be like, why are you being so disrespectful over there?
Disrespectful.
Doc. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what PhD stands for?
Are you going to make
pretty huge
penis joke?
Degree. It's the biggest one. It is.
Over to Dr. Nadine. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you so much for coming.
I'm so happy to be here in this nice studio.
Thank you. It's all culture, but
so that's what today's conversation is about. The work that Dominique's husband puts into everything and just making sure that you're well taken care of, which you deserve to be.
Wow. Period.
Yeah.
Shout out to me.
Yeah. Shout out to Dominique. Snap.
No.
Bro, you're a guest. You're a guest here. You will follow the rules.
I was just thinking about the blinds and the drapes and how beautiful they are.
And the fact that he sold them.
Thank you very much. Yeah. A man of many talents, truly. We have a whole episode planned, but I want to talk about the fact that you went to high school together.
No, we went to elementary school together.
I want to talk about the fact that you went to elementary school together, and I feel like that could be a whole other episode, but...
Why would that be an entire episode?
It could be.
You're not invited, Dominique.
Yes.
You're not invited. It's just,
we all can discuss that.
It's just me and Dr. Nadine, that's it. So how long have you known each other? I guess like 20 years, something like that?
30 years.
Damn.
No.
Well, okay, maybe not you. I've known your sister for 30 years. 1994.
No.
1994.
Yeah. No,
I was never good in math. Is that 30 years? It is 30.
Yeah.
Probably.
Feels
I
like
wasn't
30
even
years.
born yet, so.
Okay. Well, okay,
I
never
was-
mind.
He
I've known
was
her.
born.
I've
He
known
was
her
born.
for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
At
just
most.
finished elementary school.
We're teen parents. We're teen parents. It's so good to have you here. And like, when's the last time you saw each other in person?
When you were in the 8th grade?
Damn.
I look the same.
No, dead ass. She looks the exact same. It's crazy.
Comes to school full B, looking great.
Probably, yeah. Okay, so let's get into the questions. Can you explain what hospice palliative care is?
Yeah, I think it's such a big concept that people often put palliative care with hospice care together, and we think that it's just end of life care when it's actually palliative care and hospice care.
Okay.
What's the difference though? Because like those things sound synonymous to me.
Right.
What is hospice? What is palliative? Is palliative like a state of like the when you're referring to the patient, like their status is palliative? Like what? I'm dumb.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're dumb. And people often say people are palliative. People are not palliative. It's an approach to care. So I'm often like, no, that person's not palliative. It's like saying like that person is cardiology. Like you wouldn't say that, right? It's an approach to care. It's a field of medicine or a field of healthcare. So palliative care starts from the moment somebody is diagnosed with a life-limiting illness. And you can be getting curative treatments along with that. So people may still be on chemotherapy, they may still be on dialysis, and it really focuses on pain management, psychosocial support, grief support. And hospice support is when people no longer are able to have any curative measures and they're moving towards the end of life where death is imminent, and they usually have less than 3 to 6 months to live.
Okay.
Usually less than 3 months to live. So it's more of that end of life phase, whereas palliative care is the early on trajectory. But in our society, nobody knows what hospice palliative care is until you actually need it or you know someone else that has used the service. And it's just enmeshed into one where people just think palliative care is end of life care. So like everybody thinks I'm the death doula. No joke. Like I walk
Definitely
in.
not us though. Definitely.
I definitely wrote that at first. Like I'm not.
Definitely didn't write that on the.
Oh no, I didn't mean that.
sorry,
I didn't mean
but-
death. I didn't mean death doula. I mean Grim Reaper.
Ooh, okay, you know what? Yeah.
Is that what people called you in primary school?
They probably thought it.
They're like, this chick's the Grim Reaper. Like,
No,
that was
but honestly, yeah, they
because you were like
think
so
that.
good at like sports or math or something. They're like, man,
Yeah.
she just like dunks on us all the
Yeah,
time.
look at how she
She's a
kicks
Grim
that
Reaper.
ball.
Yeah,
Ooh,
exactly.
Grim Reaper.
So would palliative have applied to me? Like I mean, Hodgkin's is a life-limiting illness. I mean, 3 years in, keep our fingers crossed on that one. But even though there was, because you mentioned curative treatment, when you exhaust curative treatment, like then hospice enters the picture. But would I have technically been palliative just by virtue of being diagnosed with cancer?
I don't think, I think that any life-limiting illness, you can benefit from a palliative approach to care. So you don't have to be dying. You don't have to be moving towards the end of life. Your goals of care don't have to be, we're going to move towards the end of life. But it's a focus on quality of life. It's a focus on meaning and purpose, pain management. A lot of the skills of palliative care complement oncology, they complement other fields of medicine, and a lot of people do better and no longer need palliative care. And there's even people that come to the hospice where I work, and we say you graduated, because sometimes when people have access to care, proper housing, good food, you get better health outcomes and people stabilize. So I think that anybody that's really diagnosed with a life-limiting illness can benefit from a palliative approach to care, even if you're not at the end of life.
And like a makeover. Pictures of me from back then. It was rough. That was rough. That would have been nice.
A makeover? What
Yeah.
did you want? Like
Well, I certainly couldn't get my
blush?
hair done, could I? Thanks for bringing that up.
Oh my God.
Honestly, how could you do that?
Yeah.
What?
Thank you.
Why did
Peter,
you
our
call
producer,
me?
gang up as well. Come on. 3 against 1. We can take her down finally.
We just said you've known me for 30 years. I did not get a phone call.
You know what? Yeah, I didn't tell you. We can't cornrow his hair right now.
Yeah, I couldn't do that, but I could have given a brush.
White people shouldn't be cornrowing our hair anyway. So maybe we just say, it's 2024. We're kind of done,
Don't
with
y'all call
that.
it
But
boxer braids anyways, or is that like...
we need hospice care for white people with
Cornrows?
stealing black hairstyles. Cornrows, dreads, we're just, that's end of life. That whole thing.
My friend made the suggestion that I watch the series called From Scratch on Netflix. Are you familiar?
I watched some of it, not all of it.
That's
But
like a
Okay.
cooking show, right? Like the Great British Bake Off.
No. So it's I don't think you watched it. I watched it while I was in LA, and have never cried that hard in my life, probably. So it's a woman. She meets what? What could be the problem here?
I had cancer twice, for the record.
Right.
You've never cried more in your life.
So you're going to feel like a fool when I finish explaining myself.
Probably not.
I watched this series about a woman who meets a man. They fall in love. They get married. He's diagnosed with cancer. And like he's cured. They have a child, or they adopt a child. And then he is diagnosed again, and it's terminal for him that time. And so I bawled my eyes out, reflecting on like the experience that we've had. So I'm wondering, we see the family working with a death doula when they find out that it's terminal for him. Is that a similar role at the end of the day?
So I think death doulas are important. They complement the support that we provide. We live in a society where we don't talk about death and dying. It is the most taboo subject. I am like the greatest party killer. You walk in, they say, what do you do? You're like, I work with people that are dying. And they're like, oh, you're either like Mother Teresa or you're Grim Reaper. And there's like a dichotomy, and then there's silence.
Yeah, it is 11:54 a.m. And we're like, so let's talk about what's going to happen to all of us.
The inevitable.
Let's take bets on who's going to die first. It'll probably be me, but...
So I think anybody that supports end of life, are ambassadors of end of life, can promote end of life, can like destigmatize it and really just let's talk about death, let's talk about dying, let's normalize it, are helpful. They complement the support that we provide. So, we have teams of like physicians, nurses, PSWs, social workers, music therapists, art therapists that are really trained in providing hospice palliative care, and death doulas are as well. And they really provide a complement to the healthcare team.
Okay.
So what does your team look like? Like, you're mentioning a lot of people, and
Hot.
I think that hot.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Yeah. Who's the hottest?
Me.
Now that you're not there, right? Besides you, who's the hottest person there? What's the hierarchy? What's the gossip?
Yeah.
What do you guys squabble about?
Death.
Yeah?
No, I'm just joking.
They're like taking bets in the back.
You're like, I want to pull the plug. No, I want to pull the plug. Come on, you did it last week, and you pulled the wrong plug.
No, I think it's really funny. If you were to walk into our hospice, like we see a lot of sadness. Like my
I would assume
every day.
I would
Yeah.
imagine
So like
so.
from scratch, like that to us is like a normal day where you see people at
Oh
the
my
worst
God.
time in their lives, really young, losing, a loved one, or somebody who's like 90 and turns to me and says, "Thank you for helping me. This is the most loved I've ever felt in my life." And you're like, "How are you 90?" And that's the most loved you've ever felt. So I think our team is comprised of a really holistic team. So we're not like just focused on the medical care. Like doctors are important, physicians are important. But if you reflect on your experience, one of the hardest parts I can imagine was the grief and the loss and the unknown and the uncertainty.
For me in particular?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again,
Right.
I lost all my hair.
Yeah, exactly.
And clearly, I'm getting a hair transplant. Not all of it came back, I guess. So, still mourning that. But no, like it's totally a lot of grief. And I can remember some of the most, I don't want to say curative moments. That was a stem cell transplant. But aside from chemotherapy, it was my nurse at the time. Shout out Irene. We would just like bawl together and like just have these long. I feel bad because I'm sure every appointment after me was a whole lot later. But having someone on your care team who can just like see you as a person, who can see you as more than a disease, who can see you as more than like, oh, I got another appointment after this. Oh my God. I'm not saying that saved my life, but it certainly made me want to keep pursuing treatment.
Yeah, exactly. And like, so our team comprises of really strong psychosocial care where social care is integrated into everybody's role. So like if there's no hierarchy, there's no like, you're a doctor, you stay in your lane, you're a social worker, everybody's in each other's lane. And we all provide that support. So a nurse can sit at the bedside at 2 a.m. and have a really reflective conversation about death and life and uncertainty. And our team is really good at like opening that reflective space. Because I think if it's one thing, like if you look at other countries where they don't even have access to basic like Tylenol or pain management, but in Canada we have like so much access, way too much access to things like opioids.
Too,
yeah, like
right?
everything.
There are flavors of Tylenol?
No, like
There should
opioid,
be.
like I mean, like we have just so many. We have access. There is not like there's issues with like who gets what,
Right.
But we do have access in like other countries where they don't. But what we can't get right is like, how do we support the existential distress? How do we support the grief and the suffering and everything else that comes along with a dying experience or even like a living with cancer experience? And I think that's where we try our best. And that's where palliative care is really helpful in focusing on the person and focusing on quality of life as opposed to just the disease.
I think that's a great way to segue to our next segment, which is having these conversations from the get-go, right? Like, how do you, if we're not trained as a society in North America to have these conversations? Like, is it just a matter of, like you'll see movies and TV shows from the 80s and it's like the sex talk, for instance. And, the parent will leave like a really cringe book or like a pamphlet on the bed.
Fully alive.
Fully alive.
Yeah, in Catholic school in Ontario.
Catholic students.
But the pamphlet will be like, so you're about to bleed for the next 30 years. How like, what's that pamphlet for this? How do you encourage people to have these conversations, broadly speaking?
Especially for partners, right? So like if you have, for example, you're both completely healthy and want to start this conversation, or maybe one of you is sick and it's an inevitable conversation that needs to happen. Like, how do you break the ice on that?
Yeah, there is no like textbook or notebook or pamphlet on grief and life and death. And those are the things that all of us will inevitably face, but nobody teaches us that.
Right.
And we often learn that. Like by the time I finished school, I was in grade 25 and nobody had still introduced me to this is grief and this is death and dying until like year 2018 or something. I had got a introduction to palliative care, but I had already been in the field for so long.
Oh, wow.
And I think that these conversations are so important, but they're so scary, but they don't have to be. So like, if I were to like use a really simple example, when you're going on a vacation, most likely you're planning your vacation. You plan where you want to go, you plan your itinerary, you plan who's going with you. All that stuff is planned. So why don't we plan for our futures? Why don't we plan for if an illness were to happen? And I think if we change the conversation about values and beliefs and what's important to you, it changes that scariness of if you were to, like, when you hear it about on TV or even sometimes when I hear other people talking about it, if your heart stops, do you want to be resuscitated? Do you want to be on a breathing machine? Do you want a ventilator? Like, that's not the way to have any conversation. It's more about what's important to you. How do you want to live your life? Where do you see yourself going? What gives you meaning and purpose? And a lot of times we don't have those conversations. And then I'll be sitting with families and they're like, we never talked about this. And I'd be like, okay, well, think back. Like, what did they live their life like? Well, really independent. They really wanted to do things on their own. They never wanted to be a nuisance. They hated being a burden. So that tells you something about who they were.
And ironically, you're kind of a burden at the end. Like when you haven't had these conversations with your family members and they're scrambling to figure out what you want.
Exactly. Yeah. And we see that all the time where it's like, right, like you would think that by the time people enter our doors, they know all of this,
right?
But people are still like, we don't have funeral arrangements. We don't know if they want burial or cremation, and it's like I've made that very clear to my husband. I do not want to be rotting in the ground. You cremate me and spread me everywhere I used to love being. Like I want to be, but we have these conversations in like really light-hearted ways, but there's meaning and purpose behind it where you don't have to sit down and be like, all right, here's the book. Now let's talk about it. What do you want? It's more about what's important to you. What are your wishes? What are your values? What gives you meaning and purpose? And if we frame it around meaning and purpose and quality of life, it's going to make it a lot easier to conceptualize.
For sure. So you mentioned some of the questions about meaning, purpose. Are those some of the, like, do you have a list of questions that people can like start with in terms of like getting that conversation, in terms of like funeral arrangements? Like that's a really difficult conversation to get into, again, especially if you're both healthy, but it's just something that like.
Maybe start with how was your day?
Yeah.
Maybe you go like, did you get some sleep last night? Yeah. Did you have lunch?
Answer's no. We'll have this another day.
No, then you go, well, let's talk about a time where you're going to be sleeping for a while.
Oh my God.
Right?
Forever.
Yeah.
Where do you want to sleep?
I have really thought, really quickly, I have thought about what I want to happen afterwards.
Okay.
I want to be involved in some elaborate prank. So I think at my service, I would like to, I want someone to go like, be like an impersonator. I want like a body double.
Oh my
and
God.
Then that person will like, after everyone said all their like nice things and whatever, this person will pop up and go like, gotcha. And
that's
then
not funny.
I think
I'm
it
actually
is.
in love with it.
Thank you.
What? You're sick. You're sick.
I think Nadine and I are going to be having you as a guest on this podcast one day. Then after like, they go, oh, we're just kidding, LOL. Then it happens a second time.
Oh
then
my
nobody
God.
knows what to believe, right? Then it's discovered that I was actually turned into the catering. So you've all eaten a bit
you've
of them.
thought about this.
But then, have they really? Right? We've already lied to them twice. That last one is true, though. They will have eaten me.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I like the beginning.
Yeah, it's called upcycling. Okay, you're taking something and you're reusing it for a better purpose.
I
There
thought
you
that
go.
was going towards like Weekend at Bernie's type of vibe. Okay.
Unless it's Weekend at Bernie Sanders. That guy seems like he's
At
probably
least
a
you have
riot.
it documented what his wishes are.
Yeah.
We've
And I am a
questions.
witness to this. I'll be the impersonator.
Yeah, thank you.
It'll work well.
They'll be like, oh my God, he's doing brown face. Canceled.
We knew it was coming.
But that's what's important. But you see, this lighthearted conversation turned into something on what you want your funeral to be like. You want it to be, you don't want it to be people all sitting in black and crying. And we hear this so often. Like, I had one woman so young, she said to me, Nadine, when I die, nobody crying. I want My Sweet Lord by George Harrison to be playing as I leave the hospice, and I want everybody singing. And that's what we did.
Everyone's going to cry, though.
Of course we
Yeah,
cried,
how do you
right?
prevent
Like,
that?
it's like telling somebody, like, don't eat that chocolate. You're going to eat that chocolate, right?
Especially when, you know, who's in that chocolate. I'm not talking about you right now.
Oh, that was good.
No, it wasn't.
Do people have like is that part of a last will and testament? Which we need to get on, but
Yeah, I think some people do put it into some, and like you can write it on anything. It could be on a napkin. These are my wishes.
Really?
Yeah, like if it's
it's
a written
way cheaper
wish,
than a lawyer.
honestly.
But how does that become an official document?
It doesn't, like, that is an official document. If you have something written and it's a written wish, that is an official document.
What if it's forged?
You hope it's not. You hope you have a witness
You
there.
hope
you
it's
sign
not?
it. I mean, it is like you would take it if it's written on a napkin or anything. You could write a wish on anything and say, this is my wish. And people have to abide by it.
Nadine, people couldn't agree if the dress was black or blue or whatever, or gold.
But then that's why
Gold and
you
white,
hope that
yeah.
you would have somebody that you've had conversations with, somebody that knows you, somebody that is like, so like I had somebody who said, I don't want my funeral when I'm gone. I want it now. And we did that. We did a
That's sick.
celebration of life as
I
she was
love that.
alive. It was so beautiful. Her son gave the eulogy and she gave her own eulogy. And she's like, I don't know where I'm going. Don't think there's any telephone service, you know, but it was beautiful. And like at the end, she actually, she died by medical assistance in dying. So she, you know, it was a different procedure, but she chose that. And she chose to have her celebration of life while she was still there. And like, it made me reflect a lot and think, why do we wait until someone dies to tell them how much we love them and they mean to us? Why can't we tell them when they're alive? And like, why does death have to be like the ultimate decider of like when things
Yeah.
are said? It shouldn't be, right? Like we should be able to say those things open, honestly, and in an environment where you can actually hear it.
I love that. That's what I want. Absolutely. Yeah, I want to throw my own party.
Okay. Yeah, you wouldn't let anybody else plan it, would you?
Right? I want to plan my going away party, and then I want to be turned into a diamond.
Where does the diamond go?
You can't eat that.
You cannot eat
You
me
could.
as
You
a
can't
diamond.
chew that, but you can eat that. You can't digest it.
But you'll keep getting it out.
Listen, if you think corn's a problem,
Diamond.
may I introduce you to diamond? Are you afraid of death? Who isn't, right? But instead of focusing on what is inevitable, what eventually will consume all of us,
Oh my God.
focus on what you can control, which is your focus, according to certain studies, with Alaska rhodiola. Yes, it's the quality is this high with Alaska rhodiola. It can help you with focus. It can help you with endurance. It can help you with libido, which you should use that before the end, right?
Use.
As much of your consensually as possible.
I agree.
100%.
I agree. You know what else you should do? Leave him and fix your life. Alaska rhodiola. Fix your life. It is women-owned, locally sourced from Alaska, which just beside himself. Locally sourced in Alaska, which is one of the most sustainable ways to farm it. It takes 5 months to grow.
5 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's far too long. It's a long time.
Yeah, it is a long time. 5 years. This is dedication,
I'm
bro.
thinking 5 months.
No.
Whoa. Oh my gosh. Who knows what'll happen 5 months from now? 5 years is crazy. Support these people. What? Small business with lots of effort and lots of care into a bottle to fix your life and help you to, you guessed it, leave him.
You can leave him without taking this, but I guess it makes leaving him easier.
Yeah.
Or her.
There
We
you
need to be a
go.
little more inclusive.
Leave them behind and fix your life. Alaska rhodiola. These play 15 at checkout at akroseroot.com. A little goes towards us. A lot goes towards Alaska rhodiola. Why are you looking at me like that?
This is your commercial, and I'm just
Absolutely.
here.
Because you see what I did there? I left him behind. I fixed my life and I fixed this plug.
See, it works.
Alaska rhodiola.
Wait, what is this?
See? Doesn't take it.
Oh my
have the
God.
mental capacity.
Yes, I do take
See
it.
that?
Abuse. That's what I take. And Alaska rhodiola. I would like to just take the Alaska rhodiola. how do people, like, there's let's have what we want. Let's have the conversation about what we want the end of our days to look like. And then there's the, hey, like, want to kill yourself?
Can you break down what MAID is?
Medical assistance in dying.
Just making sure.
I think Canada's like one of the first countries that allows us. Well, you know way more about this than I do. Can you describe like the history of that and then kind of weave it into how you pitch that to somebody?
Yeah, so I mean, it's evolved a lot over time as to who is eligible, who's not eligible. It's still very controversial as to some certain illnesses, who can access it, who can't. But basically, it is legal in Canada, and you go through a number of assessments to figure out whether or not you are eligible. We would never propose MAID as an option. People would usually say, you know, I'm really thinking about this, and a lot of people explore it. Most people don't even do it, the people that explore it. But I think that, you know, I used to really struggle with it. Because I couldn't understand it until you're working in hospice care and you see what it means to lose everything in terms of your abilities. And you realize that the people that really choose MAID really want control. They want choice. They want independence.
Real type A people. Yeah.
And when things are like, you know, everything else is gone and you have no more control. And to be able to say, this is the way I want to die, it gives people a lot of reassurance knowing that they have that. And now I understand it better, and I view it as an approach to care, and I think it's an approach, and everybody should have access to different approaches to care, and I support people in their approach to care.
So you're not bringing it up. Not you. You're not bringing it up. I know I'm looking at you.
I don't know why. Like, you're really driving this home with me for some reason.
We'll talk. Do you have like a promo code for it or something like that? MAID 10 for 10% off? You're not going to bring it up, but if one of your patients brings it up, you will entertain the conversation.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not going to say, you know, we're not going to talk about this. It's a bad choice. Talk anybody out of it. We're going to do whatever it is to start the process and make sure that they're involved as possible, get the right systems in place, the right processes in place to help them make that choice.
Okay. Well, we've spoken a lot about, you know, the inevitable at the end of the day, and like whether it happens to your partner first, to you first, like having that conversation as a couple. Then there's also like the fact that we're all aging, our parents are aging as well. Like there are different reasons why one of your partners will be grieving or both of you will be grieving. What are some ways that we can support our partners through grief and be there for them?
Yeah, it's such a beautiful question because as hard and difficult as grief is, it's also really beautiful in like the weirdest of ways. Like it makes you really reflect on love. Like you grieve what you love. And I think that like people often like the first thing that you can do with your partner is not say the most cliche things. You'll get over it.
Right,
He's in a better space.
Everything
she wouldn't have wanted to
reason.
live like this. Time heals everything. Okay, first of all, time does not heal everything. You don't get over it. How can you get over it? But what you do is you learn how to live with it. And you learn how to move through it. So I often like explain grief as like glitter. You know, you have a bunch of glitter and you throw it up in the air. And as much as you try to clean up all the glitter, there's always going to be some.
It's everywhere.
Right? And it's like grief. You
come home from the club, you're barefoot. I'm like, where are your shoes? You're carrying them. You're covered in glitter.
When's the last time we've been to a club, Kolter?
You've had like, you put back a bottle of Alizé. Like it's a
Not
whole...
Honestly, I just thought it was like Nia and glitter at your house.
I thought that's what he was referencing, not the club.
No, it is this club rat next to me.
No, you're mad about like 2010. Come on.
I am still mad about
Get
2010.
over it.
So yeah, and then like that grief is always there, but you learn how to live with the grief. And like there are no stages to grief. So if Elizabeth Kubler-Ross was alive to see how we've compartmentalized grief, she'd probably slap us all and be like, that's not what I intended it to be.
Wow.
Who is that?
She created like the stages of grief and you know, you start out being like really in denial, and then you move through it, and eventually you end up at depression and acceptance. And like they made grief seem like this like 5 steps. You get through these 5 steps and then you're accepted it and the grief is over. When grief is nothing staged at all. It's more like an up and down process where you're going through it, and you can have like the most beautiful day and all of a sudden you're like, you smell something or you hear a song or something and you're like, oh, that person's no longer here. So I think supporting somebody who's grieving is really having those expectations set that everybody grieves differently, everybody's coping mechanisms are different, and everybody's going to look at that different, and accepting that. And people's pace is going to be different, how people do it. So I have a man whose wife died and it's been 2 years and her slippers are still at the front door and he will not move them because he think, you know, that's what reminds him. But it's like, but that helps him grieve and that helps him cope. So I think that understanding everybody grieves differently, leaving space for it. And I think people think that we need to fill space with words, but there's so much power in silence. And like I often say, the words listen and silent have the same letters. And I don't think it's by accident. I think it's like there's beauty in it.
Okay, that seems a little live, laugh, love.
Yeah,
for me.
but it is true though. Like if you think about it, like as humans, what do? You talk and you laugh. And the moment there's silence, you're uncomfortable and you're like, oh my gosh, what should I say next? Should I ask a question? Should I like, and then you get the most like, so how's the weather today, right? But if we can like be comfortable with being uncomfortable in that space of like just being silent and giving people the space to be like, yeah, you're suffering. Let's hold space for that suffering. Let's not try to heal you. Let's not try to like cure you. Let's not try to give you a medicine and be like, take this, your grief's going to go away. How do we hold space for it and be like, yeah, it sucks. It's shitty. We can sit with it. We can move through it. There's going to be days like this. And how do we do it?
That being said, the next question might be inappropriate then, because you're saying like get comfortable with uncomfortable silence. I was wondering if there are any like specific activities or something that like a partner can encourage or do with their partner while they're grieving to like still have like those intimate connected moments. Yeah, I guess that's the question. Is that something that people should be striving to do or just like let things happen organically?
Yahtzee?
I think so. Yeah.
It's fun. It's
Bingo?
exciting. People get into
Dominoes?
it. Yeah, sure.
Monopoly?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Monopoly, no. There's going to be
No.
another death at the end of that game.
True. Especially if you get Boardwalk,
Yeah,
Park Lane.
it's over.
I think that like, of course, like you have to find moments that give you meaning and purpose. And just because someone's smiling doesn't mean they're not grieving. Just because someone's crying doesn't mean that they can't have happiness. And I think that finding those moments, like what brings you guys together?
Right.
What connects you? And it's the small little things that we often take for granted that are the things that are going to bring us the biggest pleasure. So it doesn't have to be these big extravagant things. It could be like, let's have a date night. You plan it.
Right.
And if you really realize that one person is struggling more, like try to figure out something that you both would enjoy, that they would really enjoy. Be like, hey, we're doing this today. And I think those little moments and finding those are really important that we often don't think about because you're so consumed with everything around you. But those little moments can really make a big impact.
Absolutely. It sounds like you're dying beside me. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm. My stomach is grieving right now. It's not doing so well.
I told you to eat that chocolate.
Yeah, I should have. Little auto cannibalism. What about when one partner really wants to talk about it and the other partner is like, I am just not here for it? Like, are there, and I know the answer is yes, so maybe you could give a more nuanced answer on this, but like counseling services for people to facilitate these conversations.
Yeah, I think it's important because sometimes even if someone doesn't want to talk about it, you're always going to be more guarded with your partner because you're protecting their feelings.
Right.
And you never want to go all the way with them. Sometimes people do, but sometimes it's like, I'm protecting myself, I'm protecting them. I don't want to tell them everything. I don't want to burden them. I don't want to make them more sad. So I think, yeah, like professional support is really important. But finding that person and finding what's right. So for some people sitting in a chair like this, it's not going to work.
Right.
Like it seems really forced. It seems really fake. But there's so many different modalities. There's art therapy. There's music therapy. There's so many different ways where you can connect with other people. There's support groups where that peer-to-peer support tends to be much more valuable because as much as like I like to think I'm an expert in this, the lived experience is so different for someone who's going through that at the same time. So how do you connect with those support groups and find people that are like peers to you where you could be like, yeah, Dominic doesn't want to talk about this, but isn't this really shitty when you experience this and people relate more? So I think coming out of your comfort zone and like some support groups are online. Like if you really aren't that person who wants to be physical and be in person and like whatever, like there's support groups that are online. Like there's a lot of accessibility to make things more comfortable. And I think it's really important to find those avenues of support.
I just want to point out that Dr. Nadine said that art therapy is a legit form of therapy.
Great for Dr. Nadine.
You heard it here first.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
I'm
so.
just saying, he's made fun of me lots of times for taking art therapy.
You should tell your art therapist about it.
So art therapy it's a form of psychotherapy, and most art therapists are psychotherapists. But what it is, it's a vehicle. So I had a 9-year-old girl who started art therapy from the moment her mom was diagnosed with breast
Okay,
cancer.
well now I look like a total asshole.
Yeah.
So
And honestly, it's
For a
fine.
while.
thanks a lot. When did you turn on me? We had a thing.
No, but no. I'll turn back in a second. But like, but at her mom's funeral, she gave the eulogy, and she called me a week later, and she's like, Nadine, can you please tell my dad to do art therapy because it really does work? So sometimes like it's a vehicle of expression.
Right.
And that vehicle of expression may be music, it may be art. Like within music, we all have our own, we start off with our own music. Our heartbeat is like the first musical instrument within each of us. And people really tap into music therapy. It really helps with like listening, connecting. So like that didactic back and forth, sometimes it's like it doesn't work. And like I'll see that with some people. It's like, no, this isn't going to work. They're not going to open up this way.
Right.
And it really feels like you're pushing, and you never want to feel like you're pushing. But finding those vehicles, whether it's art, whether it's music, whatever it is, it really does help with the expressions.
I'm going to get an art therapist now. You've convinced me.
No, you're not allowed to. You don't get art
I'll make
therapy
the
now.
referral. He's getting an art therapist.
Oh my God. As my final question, with all of your experience, and I know that you said like the lived experience versus like, I guess the textbook formula or what you've learned through experiencing with other people, what is it that you want people to know? And I think that like I'll leave it as wide as that. Through everything that you've experienced in your line of work, what do you want people to know, or what do you want them to think about?
That payment is in full up front.
Period.
It's a little hard to send collections after someone who ain't here anymore.
Not chasing your family.
I think there's two parts to it. So the first part is I got into this work because when I was 15, we had a friend that died that we went to elementary school with, and his name was Frank. And I remember when he died, none of us knew, like, you're not 15 and you lose your best friend. Like, that doesn't happen. And I remember being in class and people being like I was the class clown. No one ever thought I would make it. Disclaimer, I don't know how I got here, but everybody literally thought that I was not going to be the one to ever finish school.
Jesus.
No joke. You can ask them. I was a class clown. I was always making people laugh. Like, that was who I was. And people were coming up to me and saying, Nadine, you're so sad. When are you going to become happy again? When are you going to get over this, right?
Wow.
And there was nobody there that helped us. What is grief? How do you so do this? And I remember I'd go home every day and I'd write a letter to Frank. And it was upwards of 20 pages at one point. And I would just write and write and write. And then eventually I was like, I want to help people who are really sick. And I learned about hospice care by doing a Google search, really sick people, and hospice care came up.
Wow.
And I was like, well, this is what I want to do, like death and dying and grief. And I think it's important to normalize it, to support people, to make it accessible to people. And I think something that I want everybody to know is like a few things. Like, a lot of the work that we do is really focused on health justice. And I do a lot of work is supporting people who are experiencing homelessness because we know it's a life-limiting illness, and how do we give access to people? And I think that, hospice care is a fundamental human right that everybody should have access to. And it shouldn't discriminate as to, the color of your skin and whatever it is and how smart you are and your area code or your postal code. Everybody should have equitable access. And I think... I'll share a story. I once supported this woman, and she was really young, and I got a call a few weeks later saying, Nadine, you got to go in. She's actively dying, and we don't know anything about what she wants. No one has done advanced care planning with her. Can you go in? So I go in, and we're sitting in the living room, and I'm talking with her sister, and I'm like, where is she? And she's like, oh, she's up in the bedroom. And I go up to the bedroom, and she's sitting in a wheelchair, and you could tell she was moving towards the end of life, and she's like, can you just take me down the stairs? I want to feel the sunlight. This is what's important at the end of life, right? The sun on your face, the feeling of sand between your toes, the things that we just take for granted. And we got her up, but she could not stabilize enough to go down the stairs. So we took her back in her room, and we opened up all of the blinds. And as we're speaking, her sister brings her a glass of hot water and lemon, and she brings me a glass of bright red juice. And as we're talking, she says, what is that? And I'm like, I don't know. I think it's fruit juice.
It's a Bloody Mary.
Yeah, I wished it was.
Just hammered.
And if I made it, it would have been. And she said, I'd love to drink that. And I said, oh, do you want it? I haven't drank from it as yet. And she's like, no, I'm not allowed. And I'm like, listen, that's not me.
I'm a cool doctor.
That's not me.
I'm a cool
because
doctor.
when I had somebody dying of liver cirrhosis due to alcoholism, I literally had a cup of whiskey, and that's what I was doing his mouth care with. Because people, they can live and die the way they choose.
Absolutely.
So I'm like whiskey mouth care person. That wasn't me, so I didn't give that direction. But hope is a beautiful thing, and hope changes. And it's not our job to take hope or give away hope. And I knew this was the family. So I went downstairs and I said to the sister, can she drink this? Oh, no. Way too many preservatives. She's going to die faster. That wasn't my Dr. Nadine moment. That was my, this is how they're coping moment. So I thought, okay. But on their cabinet, they had a whole bunch of juice that said no preservatives. And I said, can she drink that? She's like, well, you could try, but she's going to hate it. So I took it. I filled it up with a bunch of ice. I took it upstairs. I'm like, I couldn't get you the red juice, but I brought you this juice. And she drank it, and it was as if like you had given like pop to like Nia for the first time. Her eyes lit up, and we had this moment. We got really emotional. And I left. And I remember like anywhere I work, and I don't think this is like particular to me, I have a me space. So I think anybody can find their me space where they can eject from their everyday and just go and reflect. So like there's a bench outside of my work. Anytime people see me sitting there, they know, oh, Nadine's in her me space. This is how she copes. And I was sitting in my me space, which was like the stairs of this church. And one of my colleagues walks by and she's like, you want to go for lunch? And I'm like, no, I can't. Like, I'm really sad. I need to sit here for a minute. I need to think. And I'm like crying. And I'm like, this woman's so young and she can't even drink her juice and what's going to happen. And I remembered something I had heard about the importance of a small victory. So a small victory is something that we could pull out from a really, really sad situation. So whether you're living with cancer, surviving cancer, dying of cancer, or any other, non-malignant illness, you're going through a really tough time, there are moments where you can look for those small victories. And I guarantee if you were to look at, your trajectory, there are moments where you could pull out, it was really tough and really hard and she did not brush my hair, but...
Nothing to brush.
But there are those moments where those small victories can be pulled out. And I think that that's what helps us. That's what sustains us. I think resilience is a joke. I think resilience is something that we force on people to help them get to being resilient. I don't think that resilience is actually a great thing. I think that we don't have the systems in place to actually help people. So we just say, you're resilient because we expect people to do better. But I think that if we can view hope as something that's beautiful, something that never goes away, and something that transitions, it's really important. I think that we can be open, honest, and transparent about what it is that we need and deflate that elephant in the room. It's really important. And I think that if we could take time to celebrate those small victories, to find your impersonator, to find those moments that matter.
Yeah,
I think that's really important.
playinghousepod.com for submissions.
And I think that's what's really important. And I think, it's not anything earth-shattering, but it's the things that we all know, but you often just have to hear in a different way.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
No problem.
This has been both incredibly sad, but incredibly enlightening and hopeful at the same time.
I thought it was really funny. You got some good lines in there. Yeah.
I always wanted to be a movie star. Like, I thought I'd be on 90210. It didn't happen.
Wow, what a great current reference. Amazing. Love that.
But I ended up here, so, I kind of made it.
You're welcome.
But, yeah, I've always wanted to be that person, and, my one-liners were so good today.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
I was on it. That chocolate.
I'm excited to die. I'm excited to see you. Hopefully it's soon, right?
I'm excited to impersonate you.
Yeah. Can't
I'm
cancel me when
excited
I'm
for her
dead.
to eat you.
Y'all are sick.
I've been asking her to eat me for a while. Trust me, we're working on it. Amazing.
We're going to try to make things a little bit lighter. This is the Pillow Talk segment where we make it a bit sexier, a little bit more intimate, especially in this episode. It's a weird transition. But if we won the lottery tomorrow, what's the first indulgent, extravagant thing you'd want to do for both of us?
Pay off credit card debt. I think
sexy.
I would book a crazy vacation. 2 weeks somewhere.
2 weeks is crazy?
I mean, I think after 2 weeks, you're kind of okay, think about it relatively. Eventually, it just becomes your benchmark for you.'re just this is I'm my neutral happiness now.
Good. I want that. That's crazy.
No, but then it's wasting
Changing,
it. So
shifting my mindset is crazy.
Here's what I would do. The indulgent thing. I would book a 2-week vacation. I'd book 4 of them for a year.
Ooh.
Yeah. Quarterly.
That's not so crazy at all, is it? You have won the lottery.
A really nice vacation. Silver Sands in Grenada. Or Disney World. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. You really
I would go to Japan. I want to go to Japan so bad.
I know.
That'd be fun. Yeah, I think you need maybe 3 weeks in Japan.
Okay.
But everywhere we go, I want a private tour guide. I don't want to have to use any public bathrooms. I want you get a massage every day if you wanted. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm buying a mansion, bro.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm buying a mansion. Maybe even I've been talking about creating when you get a bunch of houses and put them all together.
A compound.
A compound. I'd make a compound for my best friend, my sister, my mom.
I don't like this.
You can stay in this house. And then we would have the compound and our backyards can connect, but they can also close off if we want some privacy.
Maybe that's the default. It's closed.
Well, why not?
And then we change the code on them all the time.
Okay.
To open it?
Yeah.
Also, a mansion, really? Some feminist. What about I want a womansion. That's what I want.
You win. You have solved
sexism.
Patriarchy, sexism.
It's done.
All of it.
High five.
No.
Props.
So definitely not that. Definitely not that.
A series of I want to have a vacation to look forward to all the time.
Okay.
All the time. Every quarter, a big ass vacation.
Lovely.
8 weeks of vacation a year, plus a week or two here or there, just not going anywhere, just home.
Mm-hmm.
It's 10 weeks of vacation a year. Oh my God. Bro.
I guess I just want a life I don't want a vacation from. Maybe I'm on Pinterest too much.
Okay, so here's the thing, girl boss. That's a very girl boss thing to say, right?
It is. It really
I
is.
live the life they don't want to, so I can have the life they can't. Something like that. Oh my God. Is it one day or day one? Live, laugh, love. Realize. I mean, like, a vacation, like, I want to go exploring. I don't want to just, like, sit on the beach all day.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun some days, but I want to go, like, explore. I want to have what's it? Pain au chocolat in France.
What is that? Is that
like a croissant with chocolate in it.
Okay. Chocolate bread.
Yeah, chocolate bread. That's what it is, right, Pete? You're like a fat ass at heart. Is that what it's called? Pain au chocolat.
It's also from Quebec, so I thought that's where that was going.
No, real French. We want. My last name is Bouchard. I can say that. That's what I want. I want to explore the world.
Okay.
Taste the world. You're my world. I want to taste you.
Oh Lord. See, I'm seeing it as like shifting the lifestyle. So it's like if we keep our lifestyle and still have quarterly vacations, and that's cool. I'd rather like we shift how we live. We shift our home. We're living in different places. You know what I mean?
Okay, so we buy houses and just vacation there. We never stay at a hotel. You want to visit somewhere?
For 2 weeks?
Call a realtor. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It's called finance, bro. Jesus Christ. One day or day one.
Okay.
Yeah.
5 a.m. club. Okay, we do have a mailbox question this week, and this is from a person whose name I cannot say on YouTube.
They just wrote FUCK it.
They say, hey guys, how do you feel about your significant other, for me a woman, having a guy best friend that she allows no boundaries?
So they have sex, I assume? That's what no boundaries means. It means they have sex with each other.
I think it means like he will call her all type of hours in the night. Maybe they get undressed in front of each other, like changing. They don't care to go in different rooms, maybe.
I mean, like, whether it's you're also assuming that, okay, your significant other's a woman and she's got a guy best friend. You're also assuming in this question that your gal is only attracted to dudes. Because what if she's attracted to other chicks and she gets undressed with them and you're like, oh, it's cool because it's another woman?
Yeah.
What? Get out of here.
Undress was also just the example that I gave. But
if you say to here's the thing, this person, you can say to your significant other, I don't like this, please don't do this and this and this. And then it's up to your significant other to say, I will listen to you and do those things or not. And then you get to make the choice and you get to say, all right, I'm good with what you like. Come to an agreement. And if either one of you is not satisfied with the agreement, then you absolutely have the right to leave that relationship.
Yeah.
You can leave a relationship for no reason. You don't have to be there. They don't have to be there. If you're miserable, quit it. Right?
Hey, I absolutely.
You're feeling disrespected because your significant other's like changing in front of a guy, or they're calling in the middle of the night. Like, if your significant other doesn't want to change their behavior, then leave.
Step 1 is communicate.
Oh, nobody wants to do that. Nobody's got time to do that. It's like the people who I see these pictures on Reddit all the time. And it's like, oh my God, look at how much the person sitting next to me on the plane, look how much leg room they're taking up.
Yeah.
And they'll post a picture and it's like, you sat like that for 5 hours. Next time, try this. Hey, could you move your goddamn foot, please?
Yeah.
Thanks. Hey, could you have some boundaries with your friend? Thanks.
Thank you for the question. Okay, great. So if you want to submit your own question, you can go to playinghousepod.com to submit your own question, or you can email info@playinghousepod.com. Follow this man at Kolter Talks across the internet: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Deleted Twitter.
You know what? I'm going to do the same.
Deleted
That's
Twitter.
actually a smart idea.
I hadn't posted on there in years.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't like it here.
And it still pops up when you
Yeah.
search you. It's like, yeah, it's
Okay.
not a place that needs to exist.
At dom.creates on Instagram, at domcreates everywhere else. And follow her in your dreams too. Not in like a creepy stalker kind of way, but just like dream about her. You deserve it. Yeah, I'm getting there. And also follow Dom's fingers to the hat and buy one or some other merch at playinghousepod.com/shop. We have we did a really good job with the merch.
Shout out to Liv Digital, who's a designer.
Yeah.
She killed it.
And shout out to us for paying Liv.
Shout out to us.
Shout out to
shout out
us.
to you. We will see you again next Monday. Same spot, same time.
It was weird. I was trying to wink and then I blunk. Bye.